Meanwhile, in the Hall of Podcast, practically nothing assembles to give you a talk about superheroes, and that's pretty much it. It was sort of a on the fly kind of topic, and we figured, with Wonder Woman coming out pretty soon, Spider-Man's going to be coming out again pretty soon. Injustice 2 just came out. There's a lot of superhero excitement and talk. So today, I'm going to be the host. I actually did the intro correct, Plan Ordo. And today I'm joined by the one and only Dr. Bodyguard.
Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Bodyguard.
And then I've got Canada's finest import, Sled.
Hey, how's it going, eh?
Today we have Sled again, which is really nice. Cardwiz is not with us today. He's really busy working on his play and rehearsing. And I'm really glad to have Sled again, so that way we can get to know a little bit more about him. So, guys, where are we starting? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I am so prepared for Wonder Woman. That's where I'm at, really. I don't care about anything much else. I have been playing Injustice. I have not watched Naruto this week, which is a big surprise for me, because I've been going through that, but I'm taking a bit of a break. But yeah, I'm putting it pretty heavy into Injustice right now. Going to do some Overwatch as well. There's a new event going on. It's completely unfair to players who don't have disposable income to buy 1 billion loot boxes. And, just the same old. Got a huge deadline at work. So I'm looking forward to getting some overtime. That'll be nice. Sled, how about you? What are you up to?
Me? Pretty much the same at the moment. Geared up for Wonder Woman. Spider-Man, really, I could not really, care that much about. Like, Tom Holland was great and all, but And Injustice 2, been playing the ever-loving crap out of Injustice 2. And really I'm excited for Marvel vs. Capcom. Don't forget about that. That's superhero-related. But that's not coming out till, September. So
who cares?
Yep.
I care.
No.
I'm going to take you for a ride.
No.
I'll take you for a ride.
But no.
Okay, well, we don't want to get copyright, whatever. So
don't worry, it was only 2 seconds. It's fine.
Yeah, we're good.
No. We're small enough for them to crush us immediately.
Yeah. Well, if you notice the previous episode, which is our discussion on professional wrestling, the top 5 WrestleMania matches, is not on SoundCloud. I actually was on there to upload episode 1 again. I guess somehow it got taken down, or maybe I forgot to hit something. I'm like, well, let me re-upload this, and it's like, oh, you're over your time limit for stuff you can actually put on SoundCloud. So I'm just like, okay. So for the time being, we're YouTube only.
It's a good backup plan we had. I'm glad I pushed for you to upload it to YouTube.
Yeah. And again, this is a lot. I mean, I noticed we get more views / listens on YouTube anyways, so that's some behind the scenes stuff. But as far as what I've been doing, I've been playing, and I know Cardwiz has been playing Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadow of Valentia. Very fun. I just got Injustice 2 a couple days ago after lazing around and not wanting to pick up my pre-order. I only got finished with the story last night, and I'm playing with it just a little bit. Other than that, I've been watching My Hero Academia. I'm up to episode 6, I believe. And other than that, pretty much nothing. I'm definitely ready for Wonder Woman, though. Even my aunt, my aunt actually came up to me first and was just like, we got to go see Wonder Woman. I was just like, wait, that's a movie that's coming out? She's like, yeah, I loved Linda Carter back in the day, so hopefully we'll hopefully be able to go see it soon.
Much love to Linda Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little. We always do the history a little bit. Let's talk about our history with superheroes, and I'm going to take the helm on this one simply because I'm probably the biggest nerd out of the 4 of us when it comes to superheroes. I can actually remember the first comic book I picked out myself. It was during the 90s, and it was The Adventures of Superman, Elseworld, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly it was. I remember looking at it, and it had the whole Justice League on it. Here we go. It is The Adventures of Superman, issue 6, Elseworld Annual. It had on the cover Superman wearing a leather jacket. Batman wearing goggles, Green Lantern wearing the Green Lantern symbol on his arm, wearing this jacket, Flash wearing this mock-up of costumes, Wonder Woman and Superboy both wearing leather jackets, and in the background it just had a shadowy figure with red eyes, which turned out to be Metallo. That is one of my favorite comics of all time. It's this two-parter with Superboy and stuff as far as Elseworlds go. Elseworlds were DC kind of told different stories outside the main continuity, because DC has what's called the multiverse, which has thousands and thousands of different versions of the worlds with different types of Superman or Batman, Wonder Woman, and everything. So it's very creative for writers. They get to go outside of the normal stuff for them. So I remember picking this up in Publix in Florida. At the little comic book thing that they had. That was the first comic book I actually picked out myself. And it was... I was already into superheroes because Batman 89 had come out. I used to rent that all the time. And the Batman Adam West show would be on TV sometimes. I'd watch that. There was also Batman the Animated Series on Fox and then on WB. That was fantastic. Superman would eventually follow with that, and Justice League, Batman Beyond, Static Shock. My dad would pick up random comic books for me when he was out of town after school. My brother and I would go to Universal Superheroes while we waited for my mom to get off work. Great comic book shop in Jacksonville, Florida. Just a great place to hang out. Bought so many comics. Comic books helped me get over my fear of the dark, because I was afraid of the dark because of vampires. And I discovered Blade, and it was like, oh man, well, he kills vampires, so I'm okay. And then there was Batman versus Dracula, and I was like, Batman killed Dracula, that's okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm been into comic books pretty much as long as I've been into Star Wars, if you listen to that previous episode. So I really like superheroes. I'm more DC than Marvel. But I can appreciate some of the Marvel stuff. But I have my reasons why I'm not that big into Marvel lately. And it's not going to be your typical, I hate diversity. No, I just hate bad storytelling, which has a lot to do with the Spider-Man storylines that went out a couple of years ago. So anyway, let me stop talking and give someone else a chance to say something. How about you, Ordo? Tell us about your superhero raising.
Superheroes were really big in the 90s. I mean, the comics were just everywhere. You had X-Men the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, which still to this day is the very best. It's the definitive Batman story, in my opinion, on the screen anyways. You had animated Spider-Man. I had comic books of all kinds. I can't tell you what my first comic book was. I don't remember a lot of stuff from that time period due to some stuff. It's a very nostalgic thing for me. I know I'm really bad at describing comic books. Comics aren't really my thing. I read every now and then. Like, I still have a Superman book and 2 Batman books to read. And I mean, if I think of something else, that's pretty much it. So Sled, tell us what your experience with comics is.
I can't even remember when or what the first comic book I ever picked up was. I know I really got into it because I had a friend who was really into it, and my brother. My brother was super into Marvel Comics back in the day, like to the point where, well, I shouldn't say super into it, because as much as he was into it back then, he is not really into it now. Kind of funny story about that. I was telling him when Ant-Man was coming out, I was telling him about, he's like, Ant-Man, who the hell's that? And then I said, he's a guy who shrinks down to this size. And he's like, oh, you mean Hank? Just he knew him by his first name instead of his superhero name.
He's kayfabe.
And like all through the 90s, I picked up what I could. I thought I was going to make money because I had a whole bunch of reprint first editions of things. They were the shitty 93 reprints that nobody really wanted, with the holographic covers and all that.
Yeah. Holographic covers were big. I remember I had I had some kind of Spider-Man book that had that.
But yeah, as a kid, you just think, hey, this says it's the first issue. I'm gonna be rich someday.
Yeah.
But that's not how it worked out.
It's
It
the
was like-
equivalent of having the what was it like when they redid the Pokemon cards for the original set? It had like the little 2 on it, and you're like,
Yep.
I got Charizard. I'm rich, and people are like, no, it's not the first edition. It's not from the base set. We don't want it.
Yeah. Like it was the stupidest first edition stuff ever too. It was like Ghost Rider #1, which in itself would have been cool, but I think these were 93 reprints. And Image Comics Team Bloodstrike #1, because everything Image Comics did back in the 90s had to have some kind of blood or impact in the title.
They were the edgelords.
Yep. Blood Gun #1.
So superheroes is not well. I mean, and superheroes really isn't just limited like American superheroes. There's also Japanese superheroes, Kamen Riders, Super Sentai, the Metal Heroes. Superheroes just like everywhere in society, no matter where you go, just all over the world.
And just to repeat what people have already been bringing up for the last few years, it's our modern day retelling of these epics. Like, you know, when we were not alive thousands of years ago, so it was the Egyptian gods, the Greek gods, the demigods, the Japanese gods, all these legendary heroes who, you know, they worship them. And we have our own kind of worship nowadays because right now we're in the middle of this superhero boom. Because Iron Man and Dark Knight came out in the same year, within months of each other, and they kind of just blew up everything. Like it was like Batman Begins was good, but Dark Knight took superhero movies to a point where they could be taken seriously. And Iron Man is like, hey, look, I'm a superhero movie straight up, and I'm awesome, and I'm good. And now we're to the point where you've got like, we're in the franchise period of movies. So you got the Marvel movies, you got the DC movies. They're attracting these huge, big name stars and directors and stuff.
Well, it's not just that, but the technology also caught up as well. There's things. I mean, go watch the Spawn movie from the '90s. It is awful looking. It was awful looking when it came out. And then you know you look at movies now, and I'm just like, boom, my mind is like blown. Like watching Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, I know that this is CGI or effects that are added, but even then, I'm still, like, I can't tell that they are. You know what I mean? Like, the figures look like they fit into those places.
There's also the fact that actors are getting better at handling this stuff because you have a lot of actors who say, I don't know how to perform against a green screen. But then you have these people who do it flawlessly. Like, they can have a serious monologue with a stick that is a tennis ball at the end of it, and they'll get really emotional over it and stuff. And that's something we're really seeing right now.
Or you have a man that's dressed up in a green suit, being petted by Batista, who's supposed to be Rocket Raccoon.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, Batista.
I saw that, and the guy he's like huddled up in a ball, and he has this really like sad look on his face, and Batista's this bad, serious look on his face.
And I think that is Sean Gunn, the director James Gunn's brother, who was the stand-in for Rocket Raccoon.
So what was that deal? It's like, you know, brother, I got an excellent part for you in my new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Do you want it? And of course, you, the brother, you're just like, whoa, I'm getting that Marvel money. Put me in. Next thing you know,
Well,
like,
I mean, he.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, as far as like the movies go and everything right now, I am always excited to be seeing superhero movies. I've missed a couple in theaters, but not many. And I just want to straight up, and this is not controversy stirring or whatever. I love Man of Steel. I love Batman vs. Superman. I love Suicide Squad. I understand they're flawed in some ways, but don't come up to me and be like, that's not the character. No, these are different interpretations, because just because Iron Man in the comics acts like how Iron Man in the movie does now, Iron Man was a C-lister before that movie happened, and kind of a shitty one at that. I'm not an Iron Man fan. I love the movies. I'm an Iron Man comic. I'm not going to be like, I have to get that. I need that.
A lot of characters.
And then
like
you have
that.
something like, yeah.
Like, you
and then
remember,
you have
like,
something.
Hulk didn't even debut in an X-Men or Hulk. Wolverine didn't debut in an X-Men comic. He debuted in a Hulk comic as like a one-off villain.
Yeah, and he originally wasn't going to be a mutant. He was going to be part of the High Evolutionaries creatures, where he was just a Wolverine that got turned into that person.
Look at him now.
Now he's dead.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Putting spoilers out there.
It's,
We're not going to say spoilers for what.
It's not really spoilers when you think of the fact that for years everybody was hyping up the death of Wolverine comics.
yeah.
Well, the death of Wolverine comics, even then, I'm not even sure we can call
It's
it.
right in the title.
Well, Old Man Logan's around now,
Yep.
so he is Wolverine, and X-23 is now the official holder of the Wolverine title. So yeah, comic books are convoluted and very confusing. So just get used to that.
One person dies in this one, you're like, oh man, the character, he's dead. But then you're like, oh wait, what's this? Why is he alive? Oh, it's a different continuity. Oh, okay.
And I'll say this, the big idea of making these huge death events with the characters coming back and everything, it really hit its high point with the 90s event, The Death of Superman, where it was national news and everything, and people have been trying to capitalize on it so much so lately. Marvel has a really, really bad time lately, because they just do event after event after event after event where they'll kill someone, he's back next month. Death doesn't matter in comic books, especially in Marvel, because Jean Grey has died how many times? I think she is still dead technically right now, but that could change at any moment.
Did they ever bring back the Human Torch? Because I remember that was a big deal, because they were saying, "Oh, we're not bringing him back. He's going to be dead forever now."
I think the Fantastic Four is currently in a little bubble right now, trying to fix the Marvel's version of the multiverse, which is, I mean, I think they just killed off the entire multiverse or something.
And God, there was another point I had, but I've already forgotten it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what are some of your favorite heroes, and so Ordo. Who, like, I'm not asking for a specific number because I'm not going to have one. What do you when you think superheroes? Who goes through your mind? Who's like, I want to read about this or see a movie about this guy?
For me, it's a combination. Well, I don't say combination, but it's Cyclops. I really like how steadfast and how much of a leader he actually is, and has to make those difficult decisions. And he clashes with Wolverine on a fairly regular basis, which is pretty interesting. But I also like Charles Xavier, Professor X, and I love. I guess he's not a hero, but I really like Magneto. For me, he was like the very first villain that I ever saw that was just like, oh, he does some bad things, but he makes some good points, and he's not like wholly evil. He's not, cackling and, I mean, maybe at one point
he used to be.
Comics are so old, so. But for me, like, just seeing someone who was actually intelligent and actually had good points to make, rather than just being, like I said, a generic cackling villain, always really stood out for me. Charles Xavier is like his intellectual equal, and they go back and forth. And I love how, like, there's this whole sort of, like, discrimination issue. I mean, given me, I'm biracial, so listening to two guys go on about, regular human versus mutants and where their places in the world and how they should be treated, it really connected with me.
I think it's fair to say that you really identify with the mutants.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was the whole point of what Stan Lee was trying to do back in the day, was try and give these people who were ostracized and outcasted because of something that they couldn't control, such as the color of their skin. Nowadays, I think it's mostly, sexuality is the big thing, and the X-Men still deal with that. Now, the X-Men are not as big as they used to be, probably because of corporate infighting over movie rights. But there's still some really good comics out there. I think mutants are really, really good. Are there any others you want to?
I'm trying to think. I really like. I know it's stereotypical, but I really like Batman. Thanks to meeting you over this past 10 years, I've really kind of gotten reacquainted with Batman, and it's very interesting to read his books and see, because a lot of people, the old story was, Batman doesn't have superpowers. He's just losing to everybody. He's taking the L here, he's taking the L there, but it's not really that. It's like he's intelligent, and again, the whole intelligence thing is really nice. So it's interesting for me to open a book and read it and see Batman breaking down this crime scene and seeing like all these conclusions. Like I have, I've actually bought it with you and Cardwiz when we were in Florida last. The Court of Owls. I can't remember what it is.
It's the Court of Owls, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, man, I wanted to get a Batman book, but now I'm learning all this insane facts about owls. But it's really good. Superman's kind of like Cyclops, kind of like a paragon of justice. Sometimes I feel like he's too powerful. I kind of like him in the villain role that he rarely gets to take. Um, Other than that, I think that may be it.
Okay, well, Sled, why don't you take us through your favorites a little bit?
I've never really been one to play favorites for a lot of things, but because I'm a guy who if I like a particular mythos or mythology or anything like that, I usually embrace the whole thing for what it is. But I will say, like, of course, being Canadian, Wolverine was always up in the top there. But I recognize that there are a lot of problems with Wolverine, but it was cool seeing a guy like go into berserker rages with claws coming out of his hands and all that.
Logan, your country needs you.
Yep, I'm Canadian. uh, Captain America was always cool to me. Like I kind of went the opposite of what you did, Bodyguard. I was always more into Marvel than DC growing up, but I do love DC as well. Like Batman was always cool. The animated series was like my go-to thing back in the day, up until season 3. Like everything when they did the redesign, I just hated it. But I digress. Yeah, anything Marvel was really my bag for a time. One of the like not the first, but one of my favorite comics growing up, because out of the blue, my mom just kind of bought it for me because she saw it at a store, was Marvel versus DC, the big event comic that finally pitted the Marvel universe versus the DC universe, and I was just blown away that this was even possible. I can't even remember what age I was at the time, but
I remember that. My brother and I bought all those. I will say, not Captain America. Superman versus Hulk in that was stupid. Those are not characters I think are on the same level. So just saying.
Very, very recently, I remember an article where the people who currently write Superman said, "Oh yeah, the Hulk will kick the shit out of him."
Probably because Superman's also been retweaked so that he isn't this all-powerful god. He's still the most powerful being in the world, but still.
But they gave him a Super Saiyan-esque power where he explodes with energy.
That's gone.
That's gone now.
Didn't he die in that continuity, or am I thinking of the All-Star Superman?
Okay, so new 52 Superman has died. So pre-52 Superman has taken over, and the two energy forms of those characters have merged to create a single Superman continuity. I see the look on your face. It makes more sense than it sounds. Basically, the new 52 happens. A lot of people were upset about it. Jim Lee and Dan Dito, I can't remember your name. I'm so sorry. The editors approached Jeff Johns, this amazing writer who has a lot of daddy issues that he puts in all his comics, decided that they needed to bring us back to the old continuity while using the new continuity. And he created what was called the Rebirth after the Flash Rebirth, where he brought Barry Allen back to the forefront, and the Green Lantern Rebirth, where he brought Hal Jordan to the forefront. So basically, right now they're still investigating what happened because Wally West appeared out of the Speed Force. He's been gone for the last 5 years. He's come back, and everyone's memories are coming back. They're like, Green Arrow and Black Canary are like, we feel like we should be together because they weren't together in the new 52, but they were in the old continuity. Batman's like, something's wrong. Tim Drake was figuring it out, so this character pulled him off the board completely. People think he's dead. The same character also kidnapped Doomsday for whatever reason, no one knows. And right now, they just had a crossover between the Flash and Batman called The Button, because the Reverse Flash, I know, stay with me. Anyway, all this is coming up. Batman got to meet his evil Batman dad from the Flashpoint. And now we're leading up to Dark Days, which will lead to DC Metal. And then this fall, when the Justice League movie comes out in November, they will reveal who the big bad is, who has caused all this to happen. It's probably Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen. And they're going to be bringing all that together. So right now they're still on the point of like creating a coherent timeline, merging the old with the new.
Okay.
I'm not really. I'm not. That was a bunch.
Yeah, yeah. I did a terrible job.
Dr. Bodyguard, the walking superhero Wikipedia.
My small tangent on that is I don't like the idea of merging the Watchmen universe with everything else.
Well, it's going to happen. Watchmen's a big franchise. I
know, but I don't think it belongs in regular continuity with other heroes, because the whole point of Watchmen was that what if superheroes actually existed?
Well, yeah, but that was 30-something years ago. It's a new world. They want to bring Dr. Manhattan to the forefront, and it's a multiverse, so the Watchmen's universe still exists on its own.
Yeah, like I could be wrong on this, but didn't they build Dr. Manhattan to be able to like end existence if he just wanted to?
Yes.
So too powerful? I'm done.
Didn't Batman square off against Owlman, or was that only in that animated series?
That is an Owlman from the Injustice gang, not the same Owlman from the from Watchmen. And it's the same reason why the Court of Owls is kind of like Batman's enemy, because owls eat bats.
Oh, okay. I wasn't really sure because I'm not like I think the costume looks somewhat similar, so I was kind of confused on that.
I think it was inspired by that, since Owlman was inspired by Batman. So,
since we essentially brought up like the Flashpoint and all that, like, what is your favorite version, or I guess kind of like an alternate version of like an event that happened? Because, I watched the Flash movie called Flashpoint, which is interesting. Like, so basically what happens is like I guess the Flash's mom died early in his life, and then he's thinking about it, and he keeps having these dreams. He's just like, you know what? I can run so fast, I can go back in time and I can save my mom. So he does that, and it causes all these different things to happen. And one of them is that in the alley, normally, Bruce Wayne's parents are killed. Bruce Wayne then becomes Batman. But in this continuity, because of what the Flash did, Bruce is killed. And then when Bruce is laying there dead, the mom, she's there. Or Martha, she's cracking up, and she becomes the Joker, and the dad becomes the Flashpoint version of Batman. And they have this, again, I haven't read the comics, I just kind of like browsed a Wikipedia article on it, but I found it so interesting that even though that these two are at odds with one another, every year, both of them come back and visit that one spot and put together, like, set aside their differences, it's just, I know, it's very cool.
Yeah, they do a lot of neat little things like that, and, as far as alternate, well, before we get into that, let me go over some of my favorite heroes.
Sure.
Let me just pull up this list. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Justice League in general. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Trinity. Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Cyborg, just that whole team. Big fan of that. I'm a big fan of the Marvel Cosmic Verse, particularly Nova. Quasar is pretty cool. Guardians of the Galaxies. I'm learning more about that as I go on. The Cassandra Cain. She's part of the Bat family. Big fan of her. The Nightwing. Dick Grayson. He had a great run where he was a spy last year or 2 years ago, something like that. Fantastic. One of my all-time favorite runs. Love Nightwing. I like the new version of Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes. Not Ted Kord. I don't really know Ted Kord that well, but he awesome. Captain America, it's great. Deathstroke, Green Arrow, Green Lantern. I'm a huge fan of Iron Fist. John Constantine, Midnighter, and Apollo. They're awesome. The new Ms. Marvel. I'm becoming a fan of her. I do like Spider-Man. Not as much as I used to because it got really dumb. But like I like Miles Morales, the the younger Spider-Man now. I think he's pretty great. Yeah, I love comics, guys. And I could go on and on about all these other things that I love about them, but that's where I'll stop for now as far as that. And you said alternate versions?
Yeah. So like similar to something like if something didn't happen, well, this person's a superhero now instead of the original person, or just I guess alternate situations in general. I guess.
I think Batman Beyond is the first one that comes to mind.
I mean, that's not doesn't really feel like an alternate scenario though. It's just like a continuation of like years and years later.
Well, still, like I mean, different continuities and stuff.
I mean, I guess. I mean, it's still good.
Like there's a lot of Elseworlds I was really into. I mentioned the Justice League one earlier. There's a John Henry Irons, Steel, another one of my favorites, Elseworld, where he was born during the Civil War period and was a slave and led a rebellion in his armored suit and everything. That was awesome. There's another one where there's kind of a Nazi cult-esque thing with the Green Lantern featuring demons and stuff, and like Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan are involved, and Oliver Queen makes an appearance. I mean, okay, how about this? Arrow and Flash on the CW network.
Yeah, we forgot to mention TV series that are happening right now too.
Yeah, a huge fan of those. Trying to get these guys to watch it again. They don't want to participate in anything with me.
Time.
So
it's all about time.
I have still not seen any.
Those are I love the way they're treating Oliver Queen. It's very much darker. It is kind of Batman-esque, but I mean, who cares? It works as a story. I do like the Flash, Barry Allen on the CW. It's kind of bad this season, but you know, I mean, they'll fix it because they tried to do a Flashpoint and it didn't work.
Are you saying they jumped the giant shark man when that came along?
You mean King Shark?
Yeah.
I mean, just let's be sure. Let's just be honest here. Let's use his proper name, his Christian name, please.
He is a man who is a shark. That's all I am getting at.
He's a street shark.
Oh, street sharks. There's another continuity we can get into. But anyways.
There's and then of course you have the MCU. That's a great alternate take on everything, bring everything to the modern forefront. You've got the DCEU. I like it. People can bitch all they want, but I mean, I think Zack Snyder can tell a hell of a story, and his visuals are off the chart.
His part now played by Joss Whedon.
Let's not get into that. No, that's not a good topic.
Man, superheroes are just I don't know, you can kind of just watch it and escape, you know, see certain situations, kind of see yourself in, you know, some of these heroes' roles, and then you can kind of like question, you know, what would happen if this happened, or what would happen if that happened. And that's what I like about expanded media, like say video games.
Segue.
Oh, I think we're hitting up the Injustice universe.
Injustice? Really? Tell me about Injustice.
It is so damn dark.
Yeah.
I think we should have a statement right away saying we might go into spoilerish territory. Might, no guarantees.
We'll go into spoilers for Injustice 1. It's been out for a while. We will not go into spoilers for Injustice 2 beyond the framework of the game. Injustice 1, when it came out, I was like, Batman, Superman fighting, I need it. And I went for it. And I had a great time. I put a lot of hours into that game. I suck at it. That's fair to put out there. But no, I did not suck as Aquaman. I could kick any of your asses as Aquaman.
Really?
I even beat Cyborg Superman.
Can't be Black Adam.
Am I going to have to re-plug in the 360 for this?
It's backwards compatible.
It is?
Yeah, he's got to transfer your save to the cloud.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Or rebeat it like I'm going to.
Yeah, but I don't feel like unlocking 10,000 things again. Actually, well, I mean, my 360's packed in a box in the closet, so that ain't happening anyways.
Yeah.
But the Injustice came after. Well, it's made by NetherRealms, the same people who made Mortal Kombat. So after Mortal Kombat 9 came out, a couple of years later, may have been just 1 year. They actually came out with.
It was just one, I think. Yeah.
They came out with Injustice: Gods Among Us, and I actually didn't even know about this game for whatever reason. For as entrenched in gaming and stuff as I am, I'd never heard of this game, and then all you guys were playing it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, you should go get it." And I was just like, "All right, I guess I'll go ahead and play it." And I fell in love with it.
I remember going to PAX that year and seeing like their first playable demo of it, which only had like 3 characters in it. I was like, "Oh, the lineup for this is like 6 hours long. Why?"
It was really good because DC Universe versus Mortal Kombat had come out, and that game sucks.
It was not good.
And
Actually,
I kind of enjoyed it, but yeah.
The only reason I actually own that game is because I bought Injustice. Like, I bought the game at Walmart, and for whatever reason, like it came with a free copy of Marvel DC versus Mortal Kombat, and I was just like, okay, I'll try it. And I was just like, man, this is bad.
it was really bad.
So bad.
I picked up the collector's edition of it.
Of course you did.
I am so sorry.
Hey, it was a nice collector's edition. It came in a nice like kind of fabric box. It had like a cloth lithogram print. It was great. I think it came with a little comic too.
So in Injustice Gods Among Us, we all played it. The story is basically this. Joker infected Superman with a fear toxin from Scarecrow. And while he was infected, he fought Doomsday, and he threw Doomsday up into space. Well, that was Lois, who is pregnant with Superman's baby. And as soon as her heart stopped, it triggered a nuclear bomb in the middle of Metropolis, destroying the city.
So Superman, under the effects of the fear toxin, thought Lois was Doomsday, killed her, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It's been a while since
And their
I've
child.
read it. Yeah, and their unborn child. This made Superman snap.
And after Batman caught the Joker and took him to jail and was interrogating him, where Joker's like, I just wanted to play with someone new. Superman crashed through the wall and put his fist through Joker's chest.
And Batman has this horrified look on his face like, holy shit. Go look up the comic. Because I have never seen Batman in an actual comic really drawn like that.
And that's what we know. So we get 5 years later, which is covered through the Injustice comic, which I have read most of, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Batman of that Earth is like, I need help. So he opens up a portal to the main Earth and secures the help of the Justice League.
Because in the main Earth, that event has not happened yet. It's going to happen, but it hasn't.
No, it's not going to happen.
Are you sure? I thought that was one of the main plot points.
No, it's just a different continuity.
If I remember the opening cutscene, it's like about to happen. It's at the point where it's going to happen, and then comes the phase shift into the other continuity.
Okay, it's like I said, it's been a while.
From what I remember, we cut into where our heroes are fighting Black Adam and people, but the Joker wasn't involved at that point. There might have been a nuclear bomb, but I don't think the fear toxin was that. Like, I don't know. All I know is that
I remember now. Yeah, it wasn't that situation. It was just the Joker had a bomb. Batman was coming at him. The Justice League were fighting. I'll just say the Legion of Doom, just to put them all under an umbrella. And they were all about to come together for this big clash, and then Batman from the other universe phased them into their continuity.
Yeah,
okay.
Right
Something
before the Joker could set off that bomb and all that.
So we come to this universe, and things are dark because Superman has started what's called the Regime, and he has basically made a totalitarian single world government.
Under him and Wonder Woman is his lover, and kind of like whispering things into his ear, like, "Oh yeah, Superman, we should do this and we should do that." And he says a couple things in Justice too. He's like, "You, I don't know, it's kind of spoilers. I can't really say that."
Yeah, don't worry about the
Yeah.
Injustice too.
It's very interesting, though. You should go check it out.
Yeah, go buy it.
What the basically? Okay, so Wonder Woman and Superman are evil. Cyborg is evil. Green Lantern has abandoned the Green Ring, and has joined up with the Sinestro Corps. So he's wearing a yellow ring. Black Adam is a part of this party. He's like, I love dictators. And one thing I just want to point out, I hate the fact that Superman and Wonder Woman writers like to put them together all the time. I don't see it, but as soon as Wonder Woman gets the Super D, she turns really evil or just super murdery. And that's just a common thing. And it's like, okay, if you want them to be together, maybe not because I don't see a point where Superman in general is going to be like, I'm okay with you murdering all the time and us still having sex.
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. Writers can't resist putting Superman with Wonder Woman for some goddamn reason.
I blame Mallrats.
Well,
that's a very good point.
Well, it's kind of Superman. He's kind of I don't want to say tragic here, but you do feel for him in some points of the story. But he is evil for all intents and purposes.
Well, that's the thing is that while you're playing the game, you're like, I kind of see his point of view. He has all this power. He should do something, and you're kind of just la-di-da going along with him. It's just telling a story. And then Superman kills a child, and no.
Yeah, like there's one particular line that stood out to me through that whole thing. It's a conversation between Batman and Superman while they're fighting. I'm paraphrasing at best. Batman says something akin to, "We've all lost somebody at some point, Clark." And Superman just yells out, "You were not the gun."
True. Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of okay, if you're fighting one-on-one with someone, sometimes you guys will hit what's a clash, and the camera will zoom in, and one hero will say one thing to another, and sometimes it kind of sometimes it's related to story stuff that's happened in the game, and then sometimes it's kind of some jokey stuff, and then sometimes just random stuff. But that's here or there. Yeah,
and it's so the turning point for me, and I think the turning point was for all of us, is that Shazam, a 15-year-old boy in the body of a 30-year-old god.
I thought he was 12.
Something. He's young.
I mean, he could be he doesn't look any more than between 10 to 13 at best.
Either way, he's still a little boy.
Yeah. Questions Superman, and Superman's like, no, it's cool. Puts his hand over. Oh, I just covered my own mouth. Puts his hand over Shazam's mouth so he can't say the magic word, and then you see the lasers out of Superman's eyes start to go forward. And if you're like me, you're thinking it's a lobotomy.
For context, the magic word, basically when he's the kid, he just runs down and says, Shazam! And then it transforms him into the adult body. So, go ahead.
With a lightning bolt.
Yeah. He gets hit with lightning and boom, he's the big muscular hero.
Earth's mightiest mortal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he was still in the adult body at the time, though.
Yeah.
And Shazam is also his word for calling forth the lightning to strike down his enemies and everything too.
Yeah. But anyway,
which can hurt. Which can hurt Superman because it's magic. What? So anyway.
Yep. His other weakness, other than kryptonite, magic.
He's got a lot of weaknesses. That's a stupid pop culture myth. Anyway, so you think he's lobotomizing him? That sucks. It's something we've seen Superman do. And then the back of his head starts to burn. And you're just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Just simultaneously, you could feel everybody who ever watched that faces just go from to
And it's not so much that you hear the sound as well, but there's two dots because he's wearing a black hood in this game, so you see two dots that match Superman's eyes, making an imprint. So he's not just giving something a light; it's painful. And plus, because he can't say Shazam or really anything with that giant ice thing on his mouth, he can't scream either. So
Yeah. So it's awful. And that's when I knew I had to kill Superman.
Yep.
And the Flash and I believe the Green Lantern, Yellow Lantern witnessed the whole thing.
Yeah, and they're just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, it's the comics really fill in a lot more of the background. I highly suggest picking up the Injustice comics on Comixology. They are bundled together for a discounted price. Totally worth it. Very good. Year 1, Year 2, Year 3, Year 4, and 5. You get to see Batman trying to use magic against him summoning up the old gods. Basically, it brings you right to the point of where the game started. You also get to see Superman destroy the Green Lantern Corps and do terrible things. Like reading the comics makes you hate Superman a lot more.
I mean, I hated him.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated him
Like,
anyways.
It's a great and compelling story. It's just, did Superman really need that bad press?
I mean, it worked.
Yeah. Like in the second game, I don't even look at him as the same. I'm just like, Superman, God, I hate you.
This Superman deserves to die, and with like very painful ways. And I love Superman. The Injustice games were just so great. It's just so much fun. The story is so unique because we've seen stories where Superman goes bad, or he breaks bad, or
maybe he's just he's a bad guy, but you can kind of get on his side here. Maybe he's redeemable. Maybe there's just that one thing, and he recognizes his mistake, and even in the end, even though he holds on to those ideals, you're like, I know there's something we can do for you, but this Superman, no, he's awful.
And there's also I like the idea of like Joker's big thing has always been it only takes one bad day, and the fact that the Joker caused Superman to have that one bad day and bring about his downfall is poetic, and shows that it just really takes that one bad day. And on the other hand, it also reinforces Batman's nature of being this guy who he won't allow that one. He's had his one bad day. Right. He chose not to take the darker path. He loses his son, Jason, to the Joker. He won't cross that line. He's lost Tim. He won't cross that line. He's had his lovers killed. He won't cross that line. And a lot of people give shit on Batman because he's not superpowered or anything. He basically is superpowered, at least the same way that Iron Man is.
Money.
He's rich.
But also, like the peak of what humanity is capable of, essentially.
Yeah, same as Captain America. They are completely even when it comes to everything: intellect, combat, all that. Except he didn't need steroids.
You heard it here first on the Practically Nothing podcast. We break the scoop on the Captain America doping scandal. More at 8.
And that is that's why that game is just so great and everything, and it really highlights the one bad day-esque nature of the DC universe, because a lot of the characters have these tragic stories, these backgrounds, and it still holds up. Like there is still hope in that darkness, and I think that's always been the big thing about Batman. Batman wants a day where he doesn't have to exist.
What's really good about both games is that they're comics brought to life in a good fashion. They're not garbage mobile games, although there is a mobile edition.
Which unlocks things in the regular game. Haha, plug, I'm not getting paid.
Ayo. But but how often do you get good comic book games nowadays with good storytelling and, a ton of single player content?
Really only from DC at this point.
I mean, the last game that I can really think of with superheroes that was good was like X-Men, Children of the Atom, and then Marvel vs. Capcom. But even then, their offerings are pretty slim at best as far as like story and world building.
Well, I'll say that Marvel Ultimate Alliance for its time was really great with the world building, the characters, and the ability to create your own team. Even.
Oh yeah, that was
and the co-op aspect. I love the co-op.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so great. I
It
loved
just until the end where you and I got screwed.
What was it?
I didn't.
I got the achievement, but not the character. You got the character, but not the achievement.
Yeah, and it would never give me the achievement, and you could never get the character. So we were like, "You're done. You're dead to us."
Yeah, and I
And
almost
it
And the
gave
second
me-
game sucked.
And it gave me both.
Yeah, the second game sucked too, which was a real like missed opportunity. Again, just them trying to shove Civil War in everyone's face, even though no one likes it. Yeah, I got problems with Marvel. So Injustice, though, it really created this comic book story and told it in a really interesting way. I'll say that I love 2's story a lot. You know, we got to have some great moments. The only problem is if you haven't stayed, like if you didn't read the comics and stuff, you're kind of missing out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like just yesterday I was with the wife. I was going to the bookstore. I saw all the Injustice books just sitting there, each of them for $25 a pop, basically.
Yeah, buy it on Comixology, dude. It's a lot cheaper.
I was thinking that, which brings me to a question, which you kind of already answered, but I just want to confirm it. Like, the comics take place first, then the first game kind of takes place afterward, correctly? Am I correct?
Yeah, if you read the comics, it'll take you from when the first issues where Superman kills his wife, and then the very last issue will take you right before the game begins. And then they've started Injustice 2 comic series, which is bridging the gap between the first game and the second game. Haven't looked those up yet. I am on a limited budget at the moment, so.
Where does Scorpion tie in all this?
Scorpion is oh, look at that.
Well, he
No, I
did
missed it.
fight against Superman and others, you know, with Mortal Kombat versus DC.
No, we're not going to talk about that.
Actually,
So-
didn't something bad happen to Shazam in that game too?
I think everything that could have happened bad to Shazam happened to Shazam in any
You know what?
game.
On the topic of Shazam, I cannot wait to see the Rock produced Shazam movie that's going to be coming. He's going to be playing Black Adam, which is great for you, Ordo, because you love Black Adam and you love the Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the DC's universe. It's had its roughness, and it's not. They did try to go too fast, too furious with it, but I think they're going to be able to rebuild and capitalize because. Guess what? Wonder Woman's coming out this Friday, and it's getting stellar reviews.
Right now, I'm just hoping it stands up on its own just fine, rather than being a bridge to something else.
I don't think it's going to be a bridge. I will say this for anyone that's listening: there is no after credit scene they've announced.
Okay, because Marvel has like 4 of them in Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's just like, oh,
Five.
please. 5. Sorry.
Yeah, and I believe DC has said that if they need to use an after credit scene, they will, but they won't necessarily do that. So,
What do you I don't really know much about Wonder Woman. I know like she's from Themyscira, and that unlike everyone else, or every other female on the island, she's actually made of flesh and not crafted from clay or something like that.
no, she's crafted from clay, made
Okay.
flesh.
Okay, so what makes her different?
There's
from
a
the other ones?
lot of different continuities with it, and so you do have the one where her mom, whose name escapes me, she's the queen of the Amazons, and she
Hippolyta?
she creates this baby in the sand on the beach and praises Zeus to give her a child. I think all the Amazons are just like immortals, so they've lived on the island.
Yeah, because
You
I
know?
mean, Wonder Woman is just one of those things I've always known about, always seen, always heard. So it'll be interesting going into this movie because I don't really know much about Wonder Woman as a solo character.
See, I know the New 52. She was the actual daughter of Zeus.
Okay.
Mama and Zeus had a little thing going on. I know in Earth, 1 or Earth 2 something. Wonder Woman was the daughter of Hercules. And that was really messed up because Hercules is like, I'm going to rape all you Amazons. Basically, Wonder Woman was created by a guy who invented the lie detector machine and had a wife and a girlfriend, and they were all in a relationship together. And Wonder Woman was his sexual fantasies.
Ah.
That's why you see so many comic covers with her either chained up or tied up or something.
Yep, he was big into BDSM, and that's why her being chained up was her only weakness for a long time.
And she would, not only that, but she would also be chained to like more phallic-looking missiles.
Yes.
Oh no, chains! My one weakness.
And
it's better than wood.
don't. You leave Alan Scott alone. So
Hey, man.
basically,
Hey, Alan, we're building this porch over here. Can you give us some? Can you give us a hand? He touches the wood, just collapses. Just like, man.
So
I had somebody argue with me the other day about Green Lantern's weakness being a bird.
Bird?
Like somehow he went down to a canary or something.
Maybe he's weak for black.
Can you
canary.
elaborate on that?
I don't know what they're talking about. It might be some stupid Silver Age stuff. Guys, the Silver Age comics are not good. They're just not.
I'm just saying. Maybe Green Lantern's weak for Black Canary.
Well, I mean, his best friend is married to her, so.
Hmm.
In which Green Lantern you're talking about? We have 6.
Let's talk about probably the one that people know the best and probably the most, Guile Gardner.
Okay, well, that's not even his name.
Whatever. I remember.
It's Guy Gardner.
Sorry, Guy, not Guile. But the funny thing about him is in what is that? Young Justice, like the Justice League. They're talking about. They're like, well, you know, Earth has a 3rd Green Lantern now. We could use him. And both Hal and John are just like, no. And
then they go, well, what about no?
Yeah, each time they try to bring up a point about, you know, a 3rd Green Lantern, they're just like, no, it ain't happening.
I was never that big into Guy Gardner.
I've grown to love Guy Gardner through Jeff Johns' Rebirth. He really gave that character a lot of life to him, and he even became a Red Lantern for a while. Red Lanterns, not bad guys, got everyone. No Lantern except for the Black Lanterns are bad guys.
Man, I can't handle that scene from Injustice.
Ugh. Let me just read the comics, because it happens all the time. Oh, by the way, Daxter, the Red Lantern kitten, has the most tragic story I've ever read in my life.
Oh, great.
But speaking of lanterns, though, Kyle Rayner.
Oh, the best.
Didn't he die in Justice?
He was actually the first Green Lantern I was exposed to, other than the Super Friends series. The first one I actually read about, because that comic was Green Arrow versus Green Lantern, and it was a totally different Green Arrow, by the way, who I've never seen
Connor
again.
Hawk.
Yeah. But,
a great character that I wish they'd bring back.
I really wish they didn't make him look like a bitch.
What do you mean?
We were talking about this just the other day, I believe. What the Sinestro Corps did to him when he was on his way back
to Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle. That's the one I'm talking about.
F.
I feel a lot of writers have decided they don't like things from the 90s, so they trash Kyle all the time. But Kyle is the best Green Lantern for a reason. Hal Jordan is a piece of shit. I don't like him. I read the comics, but I don't like him very much. I even prefer Jon Stewart, and Jon Stewart's just kind of boring to me. He's just like, I'm an architect.
But the Daily Show.
Okay, you know what? But Kyle's my favorite. Guy's warming up on me. There's also, oh my god, there's Jessica Cruz. She's from a different universe.
There's the squirrel.
There's the squirrel who's got ran over. He got ran over by a yellow truck and died.
And there's the planet.
There's Logo. There's Simon Baz. He's the first Muslim mainstream hero I think DC's had, or at least he's the Green Lantern. I like his outfit too. He's the one with the mask and everything.
Yeah, it looked really cool. I saw him. I was checking the Twitter today. I was like, oh, he looks kind of cool.
And he's also the only Green Lantern that Batman trusts.
Interesting.
I believe I've actually unlocked his mask in Injustice 2.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the Green Lanterns, and that's the thing. The Green Lantern movie is going to be a buddy cop movie, and I'm looking forward to that. And I want Tyrese to stay as far away from the role as Jon Stewart as possible. You are stupid. I do not enjoy your work very much. You are funny and Fast and Furious, but that's about it.
Oh,
you
but
are
he was the bomb
character.
He was the bomb in Four Brothers.
No, he wasn't.
So who is the new Green Lantern for this new movie continuity?
No one knows yet. They haven't cast him yet. I think Henry Cavill knows. He keeps posting on Instagram that he has to get buffer to be able to take on Hal, and I'm like, what are you talking about? So I don't know.
It's Goldberg. Goldberg for Green Lantern.
I kind of feel like Henry Cavill's like, I want to be Superman and I want to be Green Lantern. I'm like, I'm okay with that. I like his work. I think he's very handsome, and I would not mind seeing him in more things.
Cool.
Oh, that
you guys
brings me to.
You guys know actors and movies, and
well, he's Superman.
Okay.
Yeah, that brings me to something I personally find hilarious. Nobody else does, but the fact that a former Superman, Brandon Routh, is now a character. I believe he's Ray Palmer, the Atom now.
Yes, on Arrow and on Flash and on DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Was that the guy who was Superman in Smallville?
Superman Returns.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You know, the one where he lifted a mountain of kryptonite and.
Yeah, 2 hours of lifting stuff. Exciting.
Yeah.
Riveting.
And he viciously stalked Lois, and
he was originally going to be Ted Kord, the Blue Beetle, but DC said, no, you can't have Ted Kord. We got plans for him in Booster Gold. You can have Ray Palmer. And I love how he's played him. Ray is my favorite. So whenever I see him on DC's Legends of Tomorrow, I go, it's Ray! Great character, great actor. DC's Legends of Tomorrow, compared to Arrow and Flash, DC's Legends of Tomorrow is like, hey, we're not really going to pay attention to the rules. We're a comic book show. We're just going to go with it. Well, The Flash is always talking about the consequences of time travel, and then they ignore those consequences immediately in the next episode. DC's Legend of Tomorrow is like, we have to preserve time. I'm going to go have sex with this dinosaur and see what happens. Or you have the White Canary, who's just like, she's bisexual. And she's just like, there's a lot of attractive women throughout time. I'm going to hit it.
Hey, Cleopatra, how you doing?
So DC Legends of Tomorrow, that lineup is White Canary, Rip Hunter, Captain Cold, Heatwave, Hawkman and Hawkgirl, Firestorm.
I'm sorry. I hear Captain Cold, and I immediately just have to start laughing. I think of the Super Friends version with him with that stupid park and a gun. It's just like, your bootleg Mr. Freeze.
So then they also have Vixen has joined the team. Not the Vixen that they use in the current continuity, but she's one from the past because it's a legacy hero. And they have who I think is the worst character ever. His name is Nate, and he is Citizen Steel. And I'm like, great. Finally a character named after me. And he's awful. Awful. And people are like, no, man, it's okay. He's good. I'm like, no, man, he's written to be perfect. And he's ugly. And I don't like him. And it's bad writing. He's like...
I wish I was lucky enough to have a hero named after me. Oh, wait. It's Iron Man.
I might have to start calling you Tony now.
I don't think I have a single one named after me.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. But that's the actor. That's not the hero.
Well, I mean, he's multiple people at this point now.
He was Green Lantern.
Yes.
Then things happened. Like the movie. That happened.
Ugh, gross.
I think, I'm trying to think. There is definitely... Here we go. Hold on.
Gotta Google search heroes.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm Google searching superheroes named Ryan, and I'm trying to see what we can get up here.
No.
This is a long list, but this is also a list that I can't really do much on my phone with.
Let me guess. They're all the second stringers that nobody cares about.
I think one of the Adams is named Ryan.
That's lovely.
So I think he might be I'm sorry, everyone listening. This is not exciting to listen to. You guys keep going.
This is where we would put our sponsorship if we had one.
Okay, so superheroes are a big thing, and I want to tell you all about them. But first, I got to tell you about my friend DDP. Is there
revitalize the careers of AJ Styles and Chris Jericho?
He is Ryan Choi. He's the fourth Adam.
That's what I
Adam
got.
DC or Marvel? I don't remember.
He's DC because he's on DC's Legends of Tomorrow. It's in the name. So yeah, you are named after one of the Adams.
The fourth one, not the first one, second one, or third one. I get the participation ribbon.
Well, take what you can get because I got Citizen Steel, who sucks.
He's still kind of his own hero.
No, he's a legacy hero from Captain Steel. So there.
If I remember my animated series correctly, in particular, I think Brave and the Bold or Justice League Unlimited. Isn't he like one of those nuclear powered heroes that's just like, now I can explode?
Yeah, Citizen Steel can turn metal.
So
Captain Steel was a soldier.
So he's the Colossus of the DC universe.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? It's okay if we have sex and ruin time because we love each other. And I'm like, you know what? I don't like you.
Why? It's okay if you have sex and ruin time. You get a cake. I watched that video.
Oh, I would love cake. I would love some cake right now. Cake sounds great.
You also
Somebody buy me a cake.
Only in the context of this podcast if it's a superhero cake.
I'll take it.
So
let's get back on track.
Yeah, so let's get back on track. We were talking about Wonder Woman earlier. I'm like after her stint in Batman vs Superman, which Ordo refuses to see. I'm super hyped for Gal Gadot.
Oh, she was the best part of that whole movie.
She was one of the best parts. I agree. Super stoked to see her. I loved her in Fast and Furious. She played Giselle. Fantastic. And I'll tell my Fast and Furious story one day. It was which is really sad for me.
Will you tell it fast and furiously?
I will tell it fast and furiously. I'm super stoked. This takes place during World War I, which is not the usual setting for her. She's normally in World War II, but World War I is kind of like a really messed up time period. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've not been avoiding trailers and stuff because give me. I consume media. I'm looking forward to this. She's going to kick ass. She's going to kick ass.
I think the bar is so high because it's the first solo female movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of expectations, and I hope they
the first one of this generation because there was that Supergirl movie they did.
No, we don't talk about that.
Let's not talk about superheroes in the superhero talking about podcast.
No, but there's a huge expectation, as you said, because this is the current lineup of superheroes. We have not had since Dark Knight and everything. It was 2007. Since that period, we've not had a female lead lead her own movie and stuff. She's only been a supporting character in. I guess really it's only been Black Widow, huh?
Yeah,
just supporting the Avengers.
Pretty much, and even then, she's kind of here and there, depending on which movie you're watching.
Yeah, and I will say I'm not the biggest fan of Black Widow, but she deserved her own movie. They built her up for it.
Yeah, and Scarlett Johansson's got star power, man.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, come on, she's a redhead this movie. Please, hey! I saw that picture of Amber Heard, and I've already bought like 25 tickets to Aquaman. I will buy that entire theater out if I have to. I'll just be like, pause on this one scene. Let me just admire her, and then cry.
It's like they set up the fact they could have told a backstory for her. They could have done so much with her character. They haven't done anything. She's just kind of like, I'm here, and not even done well most of the time. So it's super disappointing. But you know, it's we've got coming up. Marvel's going to have Captain Marvel. They're kind of skipping her Ms. Marvel part of her, but that's fine.
I was about to say we've said a lot about Marvel. So can you clarify which Marvel this is? Because I get confused on this.
Captain Marvel.
The guy, the woman.
The guy did no longer exist. Shazam is Shazam.
Okay.
Yeah, they've totally changed his name now. Now there's no issue. It's just you call him Shazam.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this Marvel is a DC hero?
No.
Okay, so this Marvel is a Marvel hero.
Like they removed the word Marvel from everything DC related. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
If they say Captain Marvel, if they say Captain Marvel, they're referring to the Marvel chick hero.
Okay. We're good. Audience, we're good.
Brie Larson is going to be playing her. I personally would have gone with someone so young. Brie Larson is a fantastic actress. Don't get me wrong. I think she'll be able to do it because they said they're not really going for a traditional superhero movie as much as they want to tell a character story and everything. And I'm like, well, okay, that's your choice. I think Charlize Theron would have been perfect.
Go on.
I like after seeing Mad Max Fury Road. If you have not seen it, guys, buy it because it's worth it. It's an amazing movie. I'll make you watch it. I'll make you sit down and watch it with me because I can watch it every day. Charlize Theron is amazing, and the fact that she's not been put into a superhero role yet is gross negligence on the part of Hollywood. You know, if you could cast her in a lot of things. I'm going completely blank.
The shark from Jaws. She could play the shark from Jaws.
She could play the shark from Jaws. She would have been a great Captain Marvel. Brie Larson's going to do a great job with it, though. I think she's going to be fantastic. They didn't go with someone like Jennifer Lawrence, thankfully, because Jennifer Lawrence is just a little overexposed right now. She doesn't really need. She's Mystique, and she's sucking at that, so that's fine.
What about Ellen Page?
I'm not a fan.
Not a fan?
No, I'm not a fan of Ellen Page, so I would have been really disappointed to see someone like her cast. For you, Godfather, that's the girl from Juno.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't like her either. She's very in the roles I've seen her in. She's very kind of mopey, kind of like.
Yeah.
Although she wasn't hard candy, that was just like ooh.
But guys, The Last of Us.
Yeah, she's not in that.
What, hard candy?
No, Sled. She's not. I don't know why you're saying that. She's not.
I thought she was the girl from that, wasn't she?
No.
There was the lawsuit where Ellen Page thinks that they stole her likeness for that character.
Okay.
That's where that comes from.
That's okay. Never mind then.
Anyway, we're moving on.
Hey, we're doing a pretty good job staying on topic, so you know.
Yeah. So so there's a lot coming out. Like this year, like you mentioned earlier, we got Wonder Woman coming out in a week. Next month we've got not next month, but in 2 months. Well, okay, in July we've got
Spider-Man.
We've got Spider-Man: Homecoming, which I think is going to be pretty fun. Not great, but I think it'll be fun because it's the advertisements make it look like it's Iron Man 4, which is fine. And then in November we're going to be getting Justice League, which I think looks amazing already based on what we've seen. A lot of humor thrown in there. Batman uniting the Seven. I don't think they're actually going to put the Seven into this, though, so they kind of blew that poster.
But Superman, he's not on it. Why is that?
No, they've already revealed the group shot of them together.
Yeah, I know, but like the very first marketing for that was just like, where's Superman? Where is he at? And he's like, he's dead, you idiots. You want to report on the stuff, but you want to watch the movie that he's actually in. I didn't even see the movie. I know he dies.
And then, like, a week or two after that, we've got Thor Ragnarok coming out, which actually looks like the first good Thor movie, because the first two...
I was so prepared to hate this, because, like, the first Thor movie, I was just like, yeah, it was all right. Second Thor movie, I hated it so much. I was like, well, they can't do any worse. And I saw the trailer for Thor Ragnarok. I was like, this looks good. Why are you doing this to me now?
It's like they finally figured out that like you have to be having fun. Like Thor as a Shakespearean story, I've always hated that. Thor's not English, okay? He's Norse. So why was he always speaking like he was from Shakespeare's time?
Dude, they do that with every movie. Like, look at every movie that has Greek mythology as its background, like say either 300 or Troy or something like that. All the Romans and Greeks talk with British accents.
Well, that's just to the cast, though. I'm talking about the style of talk, with the words they use.
Some news from Downton Abbey. Really? Come on over.
So everyone's speaking like they were handed a copy of Hamlet.
Yeah, and I think that's a bad way to do it, especially when Thor is supposed to be this cosmic, like Thor in the movies at least, he's not this god. He is an alien. I absolutely hated the line in the first Thor movie where they're like, my magic and your science are very similar. And it's like, please stop. Please stop. Just let magic exist on its own. Like, okay, Doctor Strange spoilers coming up. Hated that movie. When she's like, magic is like computer programming. I'm like, I'm out. Why can't we just have magic be its own thing? It's annoying that Marvel is so scared that audiences won't buy magic, but they'll buy a guy building an iron war machine suit thing in a desert with like no supplies.
With a box of scraps.
The box of scraps. I mean, or that Captain America could be frozen under the water and be perfectly preserved, or that a man can be exposed to gamma radiation and turn into a creature whenever his adrenaline surges, or that a Black Widow could do all the things that she did in the first Avengers movie with no harm.
Oh,
I mean, it's...
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll talk about it later.
It's just... magic can work. And first of all, in Doctor Strange, he does know magic. He is like kung fu with magic rope.
Tell me, when's shoot, I forget what's his name.
Describe. We can work this
he
out
was
from
in Civil War, the cat guy, Black Claws.
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Yeah, when's his movie coming out?
I believe that comes out next year, and I'm looking super forward to it.
God, he was so good in Civil
War?
Yeah.
It was
Sorry.
Civil War, yeah.
Sometimes the movies kind of like mesh together.
We haven't really gotten a single trailer for that though yet, have we?
It's still filming.
Yeah.
My guess is that we'll see the first trailer probably like with the Ragnarok movie.
I'm guessing, yeah, you're probably right. We might see something at San Diego Comic-Con, like a little teaser, just some footage or something. But I think they're still deep in the heart of filming, so there's still a lot to do. But I'm looking forward to it. Black Panther's always been a really cool character. and again, it will be a big deal because it's going to be the first African-American lead in a superhero movie. And that does matter. Representation in comics and these movies and stuff, it does matter because people have to be able to look at someone to identify. Now, there is such a thing as over-representation, and the same thing goes for white guys being overrepresented. I'm going to put that out there. That's fine. But, like, the idea of, like, we'll just recast these characters, like, create new characters is the biggest thing to do. Give these characters their own stories to tell. Like, Iron Man has War Machine, James Rhodes. James Rhodes was, like, one of my favorite characters growing up. I loved him so much. And the fact is they don't really do much with him, especially in the movies. He's kind of a joke in the movies.
Then we almost killed him in Civil War.
Yeah.
I thought they were just going to kill him. I was just like, oh, please let him be dead so we can have some gravity to the situation.
Oh, and in Doctor Strange, they have a shout out to that, and they're like, oh, ignore it.
Funny. I think representation matters to a point. Sometimes when I see something, I'm like, this looks less about representing people and more like you're checking off boxes for characters for a thing.
That is a problem. That is a real problem. I'll tell you my biggest problem I've been seeing lately with comics is when they but they put in these figures who are like these young children, putting them in the middle of like wars and stuff, or like these weapons of mass destruction. I'm just like, I'm uncomfortable with that because child soldiers are a real thing. I don't want people thinking it's okay to send kids off to like do these things. Like I I didn't need to see Spider-Man as a child to identify with him, or Batman or anything, or Superman. I identified with what they would go through, the things that they would say. I am not going to identify with the fact that you're putting a 13-year-old kid up against Galactus and expecting that to be okay. It's like, take children out of don't put them in the line of fire. I'm not okay with that.
Right.
You were okay with that with Shazam, though.
Shazam is that is a good point. And Shazam is a child in an adult body, though. I think that's a little, and also it's how that character's been crafted. The last, so I would like it if they aged him a little bit.
And I do agree with you on that. You've been hearing me say this for days. I'll give some context to the people listening. I absolutely hate Damian Wayne, and especially when you have the child version of him. Like, Injustice has him aged up a little bit, but the child version of him, where he's the top of the League of Assassins. He's killed 70 people, and he's only 13 years old.
He's 10.
10 years old, even better.
10 years old.
That does kind of bring into question Batman and his Robins.
Yeah, I like the fact that they've been aging the Robins as time goes on. But Damian, when he debuted, was 10. And that's what made me uncomfortable. I was like, this 10-year-old's an assassin. It's like, I really don't want that. I really don't like that.
Yep.
Age him up a little bit.
And he is totally okay with just decapitating and stabbing and all sorts of manner of dismemberment and everything.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not saying you can't write good stories with that, but at a certain point, you oversaturate a market with young kids and doing stuff. That's part of the problem with Teen Titans. They're written to be 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and they're fighting Deathstroke the Terminator, who kills people for a living. You put kids in, or what they did with Gohan, just to say children being put in danger. During the Cell Saga, how old was he?
There's a lot of.
He was teenage at the time, because everybody refers to him as Teen Gohan.
He's teen age, but he's only about 11 or 12, depending on what you're looking at, the comic versus the anime.
So stuff like that, it bothers me, especially the biggest problem is when you take someone Nova right now has a 13 or 14-year-old kid, being that, I'm like, that's really messed up.
What age would you say is okay for someone to write a hero?
I say 16 is kind of the lowest you should go.
I could see that.
I think 16 is at the point where they can start kind of making their own decisions and stuff. But you don't need to be 18 and legal to die, like it is in real life. But it's a 10-year-old carrying around a sword, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. It's disturbing. It's not. It can be written well, but it's on a certain level, it's disturbing. Yeah. Especially when you've got all these like I mentioned earlier, we got real life child soldiers. I mean, that's not a fun topic.
No.
I wonder how old were the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Well, they were teenage.
They were teenage, yes, but
so
even though they were teenage, they wrote them like they were full grown adults. They had muscles and they were turtles. But.
Well, I mean, there's also a certain point, at what age is a turtle an adult?
Whoa.
That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
Coming up next week on the Practically Nothing podcast, how old is a turtle to be considered an adult?
But yeah, I do love superheroes. I do like the fact that we are getting more diversity out there. And not for the sake of diversity. It's cool to see all these heroes getting brought up and everything, and done well. Like how Captain America's been done well, Arrow's been done well, Man of Steel, Superman. I think Wonder Woman's being done well so far. Daredevil on Netflix. Luke Cage. I like that a lot. Jessica Jones is way too dark for me, so I didn't really enjoy that as much. And I'm only 2 episodes into Iron Fist, but as Iron Fist is one of my all-time favorite heroes, I'm really pissed off with that show.
Iron Fist, I have so many issues with. Like, I wanted to like it so badly. I even convinced myself that I liked it halfway through the series, but it's a downward spiral. It doesn't get better.
Oh, I know. It's because of who they got the showrunner to be, because he's garbage showrunner, and you can look at his body of work to find that out.
Like, I'm hoping they kind of sort of fix him with Defenders, because the trailer for that I dug. Like, I like the trailer for Defenders so far.
Yeah.
But
You do have to think, though, with all these superhero movies and TV shows, like, at what point do we reach an oversaturation? And you and I have talked about this plenty of times, Bodyguard, but now it seems like there's more superheroes around than ever.
Well, I'll point this out, is that how many crime shows and doctor shows do we have, or lawyer shows do we have, or soap opera-esque shows do we have? I'll take as much as you can give me. It's different stories, and if they happen to have superpowers, cool. I love that. But tell me the story. It's one thing when you have one mold that you're doing every single story from. It's another thing when you're doing something different with different characters. It's like, for example, on the CW, you have Arrow, the billionaire playboy who gets stranded on an island for 5 years, comes back to right the sins of his father put on a city. You have Flash, a forensic scientist who gets exposed to weird energy from another dimension after an industrial accident, and he becomes super fast, and he has to deal with the fallout of other people having those same abilities or similar, or like their own strange abilities. You have Supergirl, which is a story of how does a young woman who has the powers of Superman live in his shadow and become her own figure. You have the DC Legends of Tomorrow, people who didn't matter to time trying to make their own impact. And now, this fall, you have Black Lightning, about a retired superhero coming out of retirement after his daughters, who have their own powers, are being threatened by an increase in gang activity. So you have 5 superhero shows all telling different kinds of stories.
That's good. Because sometimes I look at this stuff, I'm like, man, there's a lot of superhero stuff. And don't get me wrong. I tend to look at things from both ends. I like to see the good parts, but then I also like try to look at some of the bad things too. Not necessarily like bad in this sense, but sometimes when you reach an oversaturation point, you start to see everything just go away and it's back to the norm, boring stuff. Like, I can't watch regular TV. I just can't. Maybe I'll turn on some like wrestling every now and then, but mostly my viewings are on Netflix and all that because, like you said, there's tons of doctor shows and lawyer shows and crime dramas. It's just like, it's the same thing over and over again.
It's all about how you tell the story. That's ultimately, it's not the fact that you're telling a superhero story, it's how you tell the story. Because The Highlander is a really cool movie, right?
Yes.
Sled knows.
the first one is, yes.
Yeah, well, that's why we won't speak of the others. And then, so it's an action movie is how you would say it is, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's not like John Wick.
I can't tell you what John Wick is.
You're going to watch it because we're going to do an episode discussion. Or Sled and I will just do one, and you'll just have to sit there and record it.
About that.
You've not seen John Wick?
I haven't seen John Wick yet.
Just cut this part out of this podcast. I don't want to know you trash people anymore.
It's got to be here. Everything's here.
Okay, well, sometime by the end of the year, we will be having a John Wick episode. You guys are going to watch it. It's awesome.
Okay.
Oh, everybody tells me that it is, and I'm looking super forward to it. It's on Netflix now, so.
There you go. You have no excuse. What are you doing right now? Recording this stupid podcast. You could have been watching John Wick. Anyway, you've got, like, you can tell a lot of different stories using the same kind of things, but you have to tell them in different ways. And at the same time, the superheroes we're seeing, they're not these all-powerful, everything works out for them. Like, the one thing I really don't like about cop shows, frankly, at least in the 90s and the early 2000s, they had bad things happening to them, but these guys always came out on top for the most part. They would do like, oh my god, they died, or they went to jail, like trying to amp up the...
Basically, they're not fallible.
Yeah. And like you have these super like Arrow just finished their 5th season, which dealt with the legacy of the fact that when he started, he killed people, and there's consequences for that.
The characters don't really grow in the cop and police dramas. I mean, you'll have, like you said, but you'll have a moment. It'll be like, oh, here's a 2-episode arc where this thing happens, and then the rest of the show just kind of filler until the next thing that happens.
Yeah, it's like with Law and Order Special Victims Unit. I love the character Elliot Stabler. I don't think he grew at all, from what I could tell. Or Benson. She hasn't really changed much. She changes for some episodes.
Well, the counterpoint to all that though is CSI, where they had a major story arc which changed the whole thing. Which was directed by Quentin Tarantino, I believe. They killed off one of their principal characters, and every episode after that was dealing with the fallout of that.
And yes, shows are getting smarter about that. They are taking more risks. They are trying to tell a more serialized story. But that's what's so great about comic books is they're built-in serialized. If you miss an issue, or you miss an episode, or you miss a movie, you might not necessarily know what's happening before. And I like that. It's like Heroes. Remember that?
Oh, Heroes was good for a time.
Heroes was good for a time. Even the bad seasons still had some really cool moments and stuff. And it was that serialized nature that really worked for it. I thought 4 was okay.
They depowered Peter, and I was just like,
yeah. When they depowered Peter, they overpowered him, and then they depowered him. They didn't know what they were doing. Again,
didn't they reboot the series?
Yeah,
it was a continuation of the series.
I haven't seen the finale for that because it was only like 8 episodes or something like that, and then they had like a mid-season break for 8 episodes. Come on.
And then they canceled it because it sucked.
Yep.
And I don't want to say writing superheroes is very hard. I can understand why some people might have problems with it because they may not necessarily follow the same formula. Because right now, television's kind of stuck in this procedural formula for everything. Or being this character, just being like a character piece and everything. And that's kind of what worked about Breaking Bad is it kind of broke all those formulas and everything, and it told its story in weird ways that really gave it a lot more life. And then Game of Thrones is having a pre-existing thing to tell its story off of, which was already compelling in itself. And it's just taking that same elements, twisting them a little bit to make some changes, but it makes it work. And that's what I like about comic books is that you're taking an existing franchise like the Green Arrow, who was a C-lister for a long time. I'd say he's a B-lister at this point, on the cusp of being an A-lister. And you're telling a story in a different way. So the Green Arrow that's in Injustice is not the Green Arrow that's on Arrow. And the Arrow that's on Arrow is not the Green Arrow that's in the comics. It's not even the Green Arrow that was in the New 52.
And he's not the Arrow that's in The Legend of Zelda.
No, he is not. So it's like comic books leave themselves open for reinterpretations and allow you to tell a lot of different stories. Like the character Prometheus in the comics is the opposite of Batman, where his parents are criminals killed by police. He turns to a life of crime and tries to take down the Justice League. They take that same kind of context of that character and build it into something else in the Arrowverse, while being different, but being just as effective.
I'm looking at the timer here. It's 1 hour and 48, so I think we need to wrap it up a little bit, unless you want to keep going.
No, but we're good. So, guys, pick up Injustice 2. Go see Wonder Woman. Go see Spider-Man. Support your superheroes. Buy the comics. Comics are so good. DC is just on a roll right now. Batman, Detective Comics, Action Comics, Superman, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps, Green Arrow. Just pick up DC right now. DC's on fire. I don't really know much about what's good with Marvel, but I can say Ms. Marvel is really good from what I have read. I highly encourage everyone that. Ms. Marvel is a young Muslim girl living in America, having to deal with the fact that she's a superhero, but also the fact that her family is very traditional Muslims. It works really well. Miles Morales is a superhero who got stranded in our universe, the 616 universe, after being from the Ultimate Universe. It's really good. Highly suggest you guys check it out.
Basically, comics are good. Comics are good. It's great that you can find something like comic books, whether it's in a book medium, a movie medium, a TV medium, something that kind of like lets your mind escape a little bit from the realities of daily life, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Bodyguard and I talked about this in Twitter DMs. You know what's up. But
Sliding into the DMs.
we actually want to do this at the start of the podcast, but I forgot about it. But we want to leave you with a message of positivity. Because, sometimes life is hard. Sometimes, you feel down. You feel like no one understands you. You feel like the world is just beating you down at every single corner. And trust me, I know. I've experienced it for myself. But I'm no mental health expert. Let me just say that right now. But there's always places and people you can talk to and people that you can call help professionals and all that. So hopefully you do get into something like comics or something that'll take you out of, your slump.
Yeah, comic books and media and everything should always be an escape avenue. And if you are having a hard time and you feel like you do need some help, there are lots of hotlines you can call. I do strongly suggest people seeking mental health aid if they do need it. There's lots of resources for that. And if you do need help trying to figure something out, contact us at the Prac podcast Twitter handle. Be more than happy to give you some resources. This is my job. Comic books are your escape. Don't let it become your world, but they are your escape. And a great way to get introduced, go to Comixology. You can look at their top 50 graphic novels. They sell them pretty cheap too, so it's a good avenue. But
and if you want to just chit chat, that's fine too.
Yeah, if you just need someone to, we're available. We're here to make everyone feel better about themselves.
Bodyguard, you're married. You ain't available.
Yeah,
Sled,
don't
you're
slide
married
into
too.
my DMs.
I am also married. I'll point that out right now.
So, we're going to try and do it at the start of each podcast where we want to breed message of positivity. So, positive power.
Yeah.
And I believe, I guess we'll wrap it up with some plugs. We already plugged the Twitter account. If you guys want to do your individual plugs, and then we'll get on out of here.
You can get me at Dr. Bodyguard on Twitter and on Instagram to see pictures of my cats, if you'd like.
And you can find me at SledMeToDeath, SledMeToDeath.
And as always, you can find me at Planordo, PLANORDO, on Twitter. And this is not the only discussion we're going to talk about superheroes. We ran a little bit long, and we could probably go another 4 or 5 hours, to be honest. And we have before.
I remember that we were, at the very beginning, we were talking about working in the stuff that wasn't DC and Marvel, and we totally did not do that in the slightest.
I did mention Midnighter and Apollo. They started in a different universe.
I very briefly mentioned Image.
I mentioned Japanese heroes like Kamen Rider.
I did say Gohan.
Yeah. I mean, those are comics, technically.
Yeah, mangas are comics, 100%.
Yeah.
And if you want to fight me over that, fight me.
I mean, there's really nothing to fight. Maybe we'll talk about that Hero Academia episode, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll catch you next time.
And One Punch Man, we're gonna have to talk about that at some point.
One Punch. So with that said, I hope you all have a good day, and remember, positive power